Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome into another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with Mudcat Cody. What's up, dude?
Not too much, buddy. How are you?
Doing good.
Have you recovered?
Dude, yes, but Monday was rough, and that's not including the Sunday just sitting all day. But Monday I was like, right. I'm out of it.
Yep. Yeah, it was a great weekend though. Got our annual draft in. Some of us came home with a trophy. I mean, it was a good weekend. Did you come home with a trophy? I'm curious who it was.
It wasn't me. So on our draft weekend, and I know we didn't get into details like this. But we did discuss it a little bit yesterday about the Survivor game. Maybe we didn't bring up Survivor game. Survivor game was really fun, but we always do an annual golf scramble. We had 16 players this year, which actually I think is like the most we've ever had.
I agree.
I think we've had
a year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's usually like 3 teams. So we had 16 of us go out to, it's a viral video right now. I can't even think of the name. Black Diamond.
Yep.
There's viral video on TikTok right now because it was raining there, and the hills are insane on that course. And
it's the guy belly sliding down number 9 is what the video is.
Yeah, we were playing that. Yeah. And I loved the course. Brian hated it. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun too. I mean, obviously it was hard, but it was a pretty course, and I mean, it was a lot of fun. And again, Some people came home with trophies.
Dude, I just won a trophy.
It's in the middle of my dining room table right now. It's a centerpiece.
Is actually like looking at you like, you got to get this shit out of here.
Yeah, no, she's not happy at all. But here's what I actually have planned. So our kitchen cupboards don't go all over the ceiling. There's space up top for like decorations and those kind of things. And she's 35 weeks pregnant. And so if I get it up there without her realizing, there's no chance it's coming back down. She can't get it.
That's cruel. That's real cruel.
Might be cruel, but it's the right call.
Yeah. We also, so Cody and I are co-managing in this league. It's the first year we've ever done this. And I mentioned last night, 2 nights ago now, Jesus, that we have done this league for 16 years. You've been a part of it since 11.
As long as you. Yeah.
And neither of us have had a co-manager in it, and we wanted to drop down to 12, and Cody bowed out, and I said
Cody needed a reset because Cody's struggled in this league. So I said, you know what? Let me take a year. I'll co-manage with Mario, and we'll see if maybe the tides turn for me via co-manage.
The thing is, though, if the tides turn, we're not disbanding. I won't allow that.
You're right. Like no matter what, I'm not back individually. You're right.
Yeah, like if we were to take home that championship, there's no way that I would be like, yeah, we're calling it quits after 1 year.
Here's what I want to say too. This is advice to all fantasy football owners. If at your draft there are comments made about like, wow, I really like I like Jim Bob's team, whatever your name is, it means you're gonna lose. It means you're gonna lose. I've left that draft no less than like half a dozen times with somebody like, man, how did you pull like that? Looks great. I really like Cody's team. All these comments, not a single championship.
That's what we call a draft champion right there.
That's right. That's right.
Are we walking away with our team right now saying the same thing though?
I don't feel like others were saying it, which felt really good. I consciously thought about that.
They didn't say it sucked either. So that's good too.
No, if you can be in the, off in the mist. No comments. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That team, I love our team.
Like Brian's team sucks. It's not going to win. And I feel confident saying that.
Yeah, he drafted a great dynasty team. For our redraft league. we did. I mentioned the Survivor game that we played. Brian created it. The props to him. It was incredible. He put together all of these little mini games
Like
for
14 of them,
$25.
Yeah.
25. It was very teacher like. 25. It was like having field day in elementary school. It was like field day.
And there was actually trivia as well. It was very teacher like.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't have like an egg run or a water balloon toss or anything like that. Yeah, what the only bummer was Cody and I did so well in it that we about
sabotaged
when
ourselves.
It was down to 8. When it was down to 8, they started calling out that we're co-managing, and then all the heads started turning against us.
Yeah, you and I both made it to the final 4 out of, I don't know how many we started with, I guess. Well, 12, 14. I suppose. 14, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you and I both made it to the final 4, and then everyone's like, yeah, but they're co-managers. So like Survivor, I don't really watch Survivor, but apparently at the end, everybody that's been voted out gets to vote for the winner. Well, we're shit out of luck then, because everybody's sitting there like, oh, look, these idiots made it. No way we're giving it to them. Like, you're killing us for good performance.
They killed and good keeper. I don't know if you heard that was in the discussion too.
Yep. We got done a little dirty. I do think that.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, so we are coming closer to the end of off season. I mean, we are now 2 weeks from football, right? Tomorrow, 2 weeks from football.
Yep. It's kind of sad. This
is
the fun part of the year. I don't want it to be over.
This is like 9-7. I think is the first game.
Yeah, but that's more than 2 weeks, though, isn't it? Oh no, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
2 weeks.
Yep.
2 weeks for football.
Man, I know we're talking football, but it's crazy to me that 9-7 is 2 weeks away. August is over.
Summer is over.
Right.
Call it quits. Yeah. Well, I think we have a good in-season schedule getting worked up as we speak. Excited to start that, but you're right. The off season has a lot of funness to it. It has a lot of uncertainty, and it's just pretty much you can put all the stats, all the arguments you want in the world, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything until week 1 happens.
It's where the legends are made.
Yeah. Week 1 is either like you guys would notice after Sunday, week 1, which I think is 9-11, 9-10, maybe 9-10, probably. I'm going to either be super excited on September. Well, not for those reasons, obviously, September 11th on our episode, or I'm going to be really sad because my team sucks.
Yeah, the ECR rankings are either shot for the year or you have a chance.
yeah. Everything everything is exactly how week 1 is. Overreactions galore that week.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. We got DebateGate today, so that means
can we rename this?
You don't like DebateGate?
Not really. I want like you stupid.
That's not good.
Excuse me.
DebateGate might be bad. You stupid sucks too.
Like, come on, man, that's already taken. But you could go that route. Like, it could just be WTF.
That's kind of cool.
That's better than you stupid.
You stupid's bad. But maybe it's great. Maybe people would love it. I don't know. Maybe we put out a poll and ask people.
No, this is just like we talked about. If everybody hates it, you got a shot. If people love it, it ain't good.
It's over. Yeah.
Yep.
The whole point of this episode that I don't even want to say it anymore, DebateGate, is we are arguing some of our, I wouldn't say they're exactly final, but close to final rankings here. And there's a couple more call outs. We've done a couple of these throughout the season, but we kind of wanted to hit once more where we differ on certain guys. And so essentially we're calling each other on our rankings. So with that being said, you start off. I'll let you
I got a little
kick it
something
off.
I don't like here. I got a little something I'm not liking.
Yeah, whatever.
And it's in the form of Juwan Johnson, top 12 tight end for Mario in 2023.
Which I did bump him down 2 spots today, but he is top 12 still.
Yeah, sorry. I was actually looking at my notes and I'm like, wait, I had him as 10, and then I saw the notes were 12. So I wondered if a little.
I worked a lot of rankings today. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you slid him down to 12, which is still obnoxiously too high. So we're in good shape here. He was fine last year, and like fine by definition, like he was fine. Tight end 19 in points per game, tight end 15 overall. He wasn't even the top tight end on his team last year. Taysom Hill, always there to ruin fantasy managers' lives, specifically the owner of other Saints tight ends. And so he's still there. Michael Thomas is seeming to be an option and kind of gaining a little bit of traction.
Uh-oh. Cody.
I'm going to mention Jimmy Graham because of some
Can
of
you
the
start?
stuff, he has going on.
Can you start from Michael Thomas?
Yep, I thought a little something happened there.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got Michael Thomas seemingly coming back. We got the rise we expect for Olave. We got the addition of Foster Moreau. We got Jimmy Graham, dependent on how his situation kind of all shakes out. I see additions of this offense and steps forward for parts of this offense. And I look at the tight end room and it's really crowded, especially with Taysom Hill still there. And Foster Moreau, I think, is a nice tight end. I just don't see the path to the targets it's going to take for a top 12 finish for Johnson.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's this is something that actually did come up early in the season, and Norton isn't a fan of Robbie and I's rank either. And to borrow some of Robbie's research on this, I'm going to kind of go from and steal some of his stats here from week 7 through 15. And I'll give context for this afterwards. He was tight end 4 in points per game with 12.5 points per game. This is with a horrendous game in week 8 with only 5 points, and also leaving week 12 hurt with a 0-point game. Every other game in that span, he had over 16 points and also 3 games over 20 points. 2 were over 25. He followed this up with a bad game in Cleveland, but if you remember, that was where it was like negative 10 degrees on the field, and it looked like Pee Wee football. Then he put up 16 in Philly the next week. Now you insert Derek Carr, who is a massive upgrade over Andy Dalton. What's up, Albert?
Real quick, what was your date range again, just so I can follow you?
Week 7 through 15.
Okay.
Try to hide that. You insert Derek Carr, massive upgrade over Andy Dalton. This is a guy that we have seen. Derek Carr hyper targets, and there's a couple guys on here that we could see getting hyper targeted, but we also seen he likes the tight end position. Taysom Hill is dealing with a few injuries. Foster Moreau is coming off of a cancer scare, and yep. I don't necessarily think that this is anybody's tight end room other than Juwan Johnson. Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended for a couple games, which I still think the backfield gets theirs. But if this is a team that's trying to compete in this division, which is weak,
Norton's fired up tonight. I like it.
I know. I do love that too. This is a like we have a quarterback that loves to throw the ball, and I'm all in on Juwan this year. I had tight end 12. This is a guy that you could get super late in drafts that I think has massive upside.
Fittingly.
I at one point
go ahead.
I at one point said we saw Darren Waller come out of nowhere with Derek Carr. Now I'm not saying Juwan is as athletic as Darren Waller, or if there was a lot less weapons and the Raiders those years.
So here's two things. I'm going to give you one thing, and then I'm going to take away a little bit. I giveth and I take it.
Okay.
What I'll give you, to some degree, is that saying tight end 12 isn't that much of a claim, because we've talked so much. Once you get outside of the top 7 or 8 guys, depending who you want to lump into that group, the tight end position is just really, really gross. And
this
from
is
there,
the giveth.
This is the giveth. Anything can kind of happen. So, like, does Taysom Hill fall ass backwards into tight end 12 and you never wanted to start him? Maybe. That's possible. I could see that.
Juwan Johnson.
Juwan Johnson. I don't even know what I said.
Okay.
Did I say Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
we see who you like more.
I see your average there, and it's true. Like, he was highly ranked. It was two things to me. It was a horrific stretch for tight ends, which when you look at it, it's amazing. If you actually look at the fantasy pros, even Kelsey only averaged, well, I'm in standard. I should switch to PPR, but even Kelsey only averaged, in PPR looks a lot better. Sorry. I'm messing us up here a little bit.
There's no taketh away.
There is a taketh away. The games, he did have 2 over 20, but you had, I'm not saying these are bad. You had 12 and 13. So like he had 2 good games to some degree on the year. Like, I don't think of 12 and 13 games as like, man, I'm going to go get that tight end. I don't feel that way. So like the idea that this stretch was like a meteoric stretch for him, I understand what the results were, but it was really on the back of 2 games.
Yeah. I think that's fair what you're saying, but I also think that you're looking at a division that we're not 6 games, although I think the Falcons defense is going to be much improved. I think Tampa Bay's defense is going to be horrendous. And I think they're also going to be dealing, who is it, Carolina? Like, I don't expect much out of Carolina. The only note on Carolina that would scare me is Brian Burns. Like, I've heard their defense is kind of a sleeper defense this season, but neither of these teams scare me. And this is a team that's going to be playing to me, it's them or Falcons this season that wins this division. And I think they're going to be in the hunt at all times where they're going to have to be throwing a ton. Their defense is Saints defense is, I would say, above average. It's actually everybody's favorite starting defense because they see no strong quarterbacks for like the first 10 weeks or something. But I can't see them not wanting to get all their playmakers the ball. We don't know what Michael Thomas is exactly going to be. We have seen him come back and then leave again. And when he does come back, he's great. But these are 3 weapons that I think Derek Carr can support. And I'm not saying Derek Carr is, maybe I need to raise my Derek Carr ranking. But like, if I'm high on, I think all 3 of these guys, maybe that's also another piece that I need to do here. Maybe Derek Carr's a little higher this season.
Well, I mean, I think you can be high on those three guys, and I would say I'm to some degree high on 2 of them. I think Michael Thomas is at an age he could still see somewhat of a resurgence. I'm not saying old Michael Thomas, but be a serviceable NFL receiver. And what I think is going to happen for Olave, I just think when you say these 3 guys, I don't think that's what it looks like. I think Taysom Hill continues to be a part of this offense. I think Kamara, after a short suspension, is a big part of this receiving game. I think Foster Moreau sees a lot of field time. I think he's a good football player. And so, the idea of putting Juwan into a group of 3 targets for Derek Carr is part of my issue, is I think there's like 6 or 7 targets for Derek Carr. And I think that's where it gets really hard. One final thought, and this isn't actually meant to be a jab at like Juwan. He was just really nice to you. I happened to put in all the weeks instead of that range. And usually like the range is obviously good, but usually there's like a little something somewhere. He was single digits every single other game the rest of the year. There was nothing anywhere.
I think, well, the rest, you're talking about like the last 3
and the first 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to say, talking about when you mentioned Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara, I am expecting a little bit of bounce back for Kamara for his receiving game. But when we looked at his targets last year, they were like the lowest he's ever seen in his career. Yeah. True. And that's a new coach too. So I don't know if it's as much as a quarterback or a new coach. I'm still trying, like, we'll get that answer this season. And Taysom Hill,
I've got a good bet. I'm going to interrupt you. I've got a good bet.
Do it to it.
It's a player you hate and a player you love.
All the way up. Okay.
Tyler Higbee versus Juwan Johnson.
Oh. That was one of my guys.
We should be. He's going to get fed. I mean, who the heck's going to catch the ball when Cooper Kupp goes down?
What about when Matthew Stafford goes down?
He aight.
Let's do it.
Okay.
This is going to go to the end. Don't start victory lapping me after 2 weeks when Tyler Higbee has 25 targets and Juwan Johnson has 6.
I want to go back to dollar cone bets. Can we make it a dollar cone bet? I think they're $1.99.
I want to go again. I want to go.
Inflation hit hard.
I hate the dollar cone bets. I want to go more real, like pizza bets, where you send somebody a pizza.
Send them a pizza. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, because like,
and here's what we'll do. Let's do this too. It's not on the giver's terms. So like, whoever the winner is, like one night out of the blue, when you're talking to your wife and you're like, you know what, I want a pizza. Let me ring up Mario, and then it happens.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
person goes and orders it delivered to your house. I like this.
Yeah. And I think what you would take is like, say we made, I know we're way too close to the season, but say you make 8 pizza bets total and you go 5-3, obviously you netted 2 pizzas.
Right.
Because if we did this a lot, like next season, we don't want to have like 23 pizzas shipped to our house, or else we really are going to be rocking around with the dad bods.
I like pizza a lot.
Yeah, we're going to be dad bods with diabetes.
Asher loves pizza too.
Pizza bet it is then.
And it is like on a whim. I want to call you at like 6:30 and be like, I need my pie, Mario. Send it to my house.
I like it. Juwan Johnson, baby. Don't let me down. Get me pizza. Juwan pizza. All right. So I am calling you out on somebody specific.
Tyler pepperoni and cheese.
I am calling you out on somebody specific that I think, you know what, this one was tough. And it's a lot of gut feeling. It's a lot of college. It's a lot of efficiency. So it's really tough. But I want to call you out on James Cook.
Too skinny. Norton would get that reference.
Is that? Oh movie. Yeah. You guys have a movie. It's really cute, dude. You guys should. You guys put it night on Stars. I hope he's still watching.
No, sometimes we'll FaceTime and watch it together.
In games where he played over just 30% of snaps, not many, he saw. Oh, and note, 5 of these games came in the last 6 games. So that's kind of exciting. He started seeing more snaps in the last 6 games. He saw about 8.6 carries a game, about 49.6 yards a game, 5.76 yards per carry, 2.4 targets. Now there's some pros, there's some cons here. The 5.76, obviously the most exciting, Fabulous. But there's not enough carries to necessarily dictate from that. The 2.4 targets you want to see a little bit higher. Obviously the yards are fine if the yards per carry is. The carry is 8.6 carries, not ideal. But again, these are over 30% of snaps, and I think we peaked at 53. But other than that, it was 30 to 45.
Quality insight here from Felix.
I saw a league where Singletary is still out there, and I couldn't figure out who to drop. It's probably Dinkin.
I think it is because I saw it too.
Now, it seems easy to project that he should see more work this year, right? Like, I think that's a pretty fair statement. We saw it tick up towards the end of the season. We saw them start using him more. They added Damian Harris, so that's a little bit worrisome. And Singletary is Singletary's on the Texans. You both confused me.
Real quick, I don't want to mess this up, but Singletary is a weird beast because he is slow and too skinny, but somehow a half decent running back.
You both are messing me up. Singletary ain't even on this team.
But Damian Harris is.
Damian Harris is. This offense kind of seems like they want to have this RB that can pound the rock. They have asked for this or tried to get this. They have done what San Francisco has been.
I'd agree.
They went out, spent a second round on this guy last season. I mean, I think he was the 3rd RB off the board, maybe 4th, but I'm pretty sure it was the 3rd because it was second round.
I can't remember. I think it was 63rd overall. I don't know what RB, but I remember
66.
the pick.
You're close.
66.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it seems like they want to take off some of the work from Josh Allen, which would be a smart thing to do. He's a franchise QB. Why not get the ball out of his hands a couple more times? Obviously, they're still going to run him. And there's this like thought behind this expectation for RBs from Buffalo or Kansas City that they're supposed to just dominate. And it hasn't really been the case. So that's what makes it a little scary, right? Like it's a little scary. However, I have him at 24, RB 24. You have him at 31.
I feel like you're trying to sell yourself, not me.
It just clicked to me what I'm at 31, Matt. I saw your text too.
Yeah.
It just clicked to me. Yeah. So I'm at 24. You're at 31. So I'm not going that crazy. He's the back end late RB2. I think I'm a little bit higher than his ADP, or it's right around his ADP. But you have him at 31. He's in high efficiency back. We saw in his college career, if this guy could get 12 to 14 carries and maybe 3 to 4 targets, we're talking a top 24 RB.
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts. I mean, I think the efficiency numbers are great. I like what you said there. I agree with that. You know, a couple of the big words I have. First one is he literally weighs the exact same as me. And I can tell you, I get blown around in the wind. And so that's not a good sign for an NFL running back.
Wait. But this is the guy that also is like holding on to Tank Dell by like you're holding on to him.
Yeah, but a wide receiver can get away with it more than a running back can.
A wide receiver at 155. I heard about some offers that were given to you for Tank Dell.
It wasn't good. What did you hear? Rondell Moore?
Downs. Josh Downs.
I think I did get a Josh Downs. That's pretty good. It's solid.
I think that's solid.
It's solid. It is. That's fair. So the efficiency is great.
We're so distracted.
We are. I think where it's a little bit that I'm discouraged is based on his frame. I don't see him being a big workload guy. And I think Damian Harris was brought in specifically for that reason. And I know the default answer is going to be, yeah, but I mean, I want him for the receiving work, which is at its core really what you're most excited about, I think, with a guy like James Cook. But even there, we talk about those 2.4 targets. It's not a strong pace. We're looking at a Bills offense that has a quarterback who's going to get the red zone work in all likelihood. Norton's talked a lot about, lack of receiving work for running backs in offenses that have quarterbacks who are mobile. The Bills are more middle of the pack. So I'll give a little bit of grace there. They're not necessarily bottom of the league like some of those other teams are. They are in the middle. But I don't expect this team to throw an obscene amount of numbers to the running back. And so, when I look at James Cook, I don't see a guy that's going to jump into this like 70 target range right away personally. And so if I think if I think he's a guy who's good for, let's say 140, 150 carries, somewhere in that range, because I think Damian Harris is probably going to outpace him in actual carries is my take. And if I think he's somebody that then is a 50 target guy or somewhere in there, the math just doesn't add up for me to be an RB2. It doesn't jive. I need him to do one of the two things. He can't do neither. And so I just don't know that I see enough in either of those areas to really get me there. I've got him for 142 carries and 52 targets. And
only 140 carries, huh?
Yeah. What are you thinking?
180 to 200.
Yeah, I just don't think I see it. I mean, he's 190 pounds. And you've talked about this before, Mario. The number of running backs under, what is it, like 211 who have seen north of 200 touches, 200 carries is a very rare number.
I don't disagree with
maybe not 211, 207 maybe.
The weight?
Yeah.
The actual weight that scares me is 200.
Yeah, but I think there's a threshold to where like the number of running backs who have gotten 200 carries in a season when under a certain weight is like almost nobody. And he's well under that weight. I don't even remember what the line is.
Do you think he's going to go up from the 8.6 carries a game?
Not dramatically.
But a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably a 9 carry and, maybe a 4 target. I mean, maybe the target's gonna be a little higher than I think, but like I see this guy getting 13 touches. I think that's a right number for James Cook, and I think he can do a lot with those touches. This isn't to knock James Cook, but like again, he's 190 pounds. I think he's a 13 touch kind of guy.
So, well, I will say 2 things here. One, if you think he's 9, that's more than 140.
What is it?
168. Guessing here. 9 times 17, 153.
Okay, so
so take that.
Yeah,
13.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I am not
142. I rounded, so I guess 11. Yeah.
When I'm statting them out, I'm not necessarily seeing some like crazy involvement in the pass. I'm not seeing low, but I'm not necessarily like guessing. I'm not going for 70. I don't think I was trying to pull up my rankings and I got distracted because you started saying something that I really wanted to pull back to. And it was it was an article I wrote last year about what the threshold is on carries plus targets. And I can't even remember the number, but I would love to see it now, but I can't pull it up quick enough. So we'll talk about it another time. I have him for 49. I have him for 49 targets.
Yeah, so we're about the same on the reception. You've just got him for 40 more carries. That's really where the math comes down to. And if anything, I think I'm low on the targets and not the carries. Funny enough. This hoodie is from like high school.
Hey,
but it's still flawless.
Can you tell him to go accept my trade?
Hey, there might be a little trade out there, Evan. Go ahead and put it on blast. We want to hear it, so send it in.
Yeah.
Mario's not so sure now.
I don't want anybody to know what it is. Just accept or decline.
Blast
I mean, I don't think like it was pretty. I don't think this is crazy numbers when I'm looking at this. So I have him at RB 23, not 24. 186 for 902, 4 touchdowns, 49 targets, 43 receptions, kind of high efficiency there. 450 yards, maybe a little bit high.
High
3
efficiency on the
TDs.
yardage too. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think they look at him as a pass catching back. I think they value this guy like he is their running back. That he can break tackles. He's quick. I'm with you.
They haven't shown that with their running backs at all previously. And then they went and signed Damian Harris, which is a perfect complement to a receiving back kind of role. So both of those things just make me not go there personally.
I understand what you're saying. We already seen Damian Harris hurt this year. I'm not saying to expect that he'll be hurt all year like he's kind of been as a New England Patriot, but I do think that there's been more running backs that they could have added into this rotation and they did it. They let Singletary go, who has been pretty solid there.
Yes. Nice efficiency.
The last part of this is I think the game we have to start. We can't necessarily, and as much as I believe it right now as well, we can't necessarily write off these guys that are certain weight thresholds and we're seeing so many, the size difference that are getting into the NFL. We're seeing it at the wide receiver position. We're seeing it at the running back position. It's because there is different rules for defenses in college. Little Deuce Vaughn is running his ass off right now so far in preseason. Yeah. And like, what if he's just amazing and we all wrote him off because he's 5'5"?
I'd like you to go back to sell me James Cook instead of Deuce Vaughn. I feel a lot better at 5'11", 190.
What is James Cook, 197?
190, I think. I think he was sub 190 at the combine, unless I'm mistaken. He's a little fella, skinny fella.
190 is what?
Yeah, I think he was even sub that when actually weighed.
That's his college stuff that I'm looking at right now. So like, okay. I want to get away from thinking that, but you're right. The RBs that have done best in this league are typically like 220. Honestly, like when you look at some of these guys,
there's a threshold. I feel like it's 207, 211. I don't know what it is. Where
I do remember this conversation a little bit more, but I know that the last guy that was under 200 to actually really do a lot of work, I think it's Jamal Charles. He's Jamal Charles. 196 is, I'm pretty sure, Jamal Charles weight.
Okay.
I get that.
I want to give you, I gave you something. I gave you a gift.
What was that?
I bumped him up to 153 carries and bumped his yards rushing for 703, and it still leaves him as RB 31.
Mine are too close or something, because like that would have bumped my guys.
175. Here, let's see what total points. I'm curious. 175 for me. You've got him at 220, so we have a big difference there. It's the total yards. You know, you've got him for 1,350 total yards, and I've got him for just over 1,000.
Yeah.
Whatever,
dude.
Whatever. Okay, my turn. I actually don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this one because we've talked it a lot, but I still feel the same. It's Cam Akers, still inside of your top 12.
By Cam Akers.
No, he's still in your top 12. He's still not a very good football player. And all the hype this offseason has been Kyren Williams. Not saying Kyren Williams is a starter. I'm not saying Kyren Williams is a bell cow. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying Cam Akers is not getting the 285 carries that he has to get to support your top 12 ranking. It's just not happening. I don't see it.
I don't want to kind of, and I don't even, it probably is on one of our player differences, our shows before. I don't understand. There's going to be room for a guy to take over in this backfield this season. And we talked about this. Can you give me the points of why you think Kyren Williams is so great? Because you keep talking about this hype and I haven't seen it.
I don't even want to say so. Well, I mean, it's hype from camp. It's Matthew Stafford says Kyren Williams is surprise. It is Kyren Williams at XYZ. It's stuff like that. I mean, you Google him and it's there. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying Kyren Williams is a starter. I'm saying that this offense is not going to feature just one running back in the way they're going to have to for Cam Akers to do what you think he's going to do. I don't want to sell this to Kyren Williams. I'm not like chasing Kyren Williams and he's my RB3. It's not meant to sell him. I just think, I think Ronnie
don't
Rivers,
you dare.
No, I mean he's getting hyped too. Like they're not even talking about Cam Akers. Like he's the starter. Don't get me wrong, but like there's not this big story to chase here, but you're chasing it.
I don't think I am though. Like
I
guess
top 3 or 4 in the league in carries. That's chasing it.
it's 16 and 0.75 carries is what I'm saying.
I don't care what it is a game. You got him for almost 300. I mean, that's just a big number for any running back in the NFL these days.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's a projection though, and it's a projection saying that they're going to play 17 games. So like, yes, I can't project all the RBs are going to be healthy and all of them get to that 300 mark. I understand that, and it is a large mark. But like, if we're talking about, if you looked at a per game basis on these guys, I bet you it's not near as big as what you're saying when you're looking at, oh, there's only 5 RBs that went over 285 total.
Here's where I disagree. Here's the players you have him over in carries. Saquon Barkley, clear bell cow. Nick Chubb, clear bell cow. Tony Pollard, clear bell cow.
Nick Chubb has crossed that line twice. And they have an offense
it's such a hard line to cross. That's my whole point.
But the Rams, who do the Rams have? They have Cooper Kupp and I guess Higbee. But like I don't understand where you think some of these plays are going to go, because it's not like they have this abundance trust in Van Jefferson. It's not like I hear the hype about Puka. It's not like they're just going to throw him the ball 100 times on his rookie year. What are we going to go to Ben? I could see Cooper getting 180 targets again if he's healthy, but like they have to do something on the ground here, or else I mean the concerns really should be about the offensive line.
The guys that hit 285 carries, they are not only the bell cow, they're the focal point of the offense. They are both of those things. Cam Akers is neither.
I think Cam Akers is the bell cow. I can hear you out on the focal point. I think Cam Akers is the bell cow here. I am not scared of Kyren Williams. You know who scares me more than Kyren Williams?
I'd be scared of him for 285
Zach Evans.
carries.
You're mentioning Ronnie Rivers. I'm more scared of Zach Evans. Back half of Zach Evans starts turning it up.
If you're scared of the RB4, you should be scared of the RB2.
How is he? I think that's an unofficial depth chart. It has to be. Zach Evans is mini Marshawn.
I just can't see a world where this offense runs through Cam Akers, and that's and nobody else sees substantial work, and that's what it's gonna take to get to those carries. It just is. You look at the players that get to that threshold.
Nobody in the backfield sees substantial work, is what you're saying.
No, he needs to be the focal point of the offense too. The guys that get 285 carries, the offense is built around them. It's so rare that anybody does it anymore. It's Derrick Henry. It's Najee Harris last year. Like it's those guys.
Yeah, Najee, the offense isn't through Najee. I mean, Deontay had 140 targets and George Pickens had 100.
But those aren't like that team did not pass for a lot. That was a running team last year. You don't think so?
How high do you have Matthew Stafford ranked this season?
But that's a running team. I mean, I don't think this team's going to be that good. Let me see. I actually don't know. Is the answer.
But like you're making it sound like this is a team that's going to throw.
I have him for 4,100 yards and 27 touchdowns. I mean, that's not
how many pass attempts? 500?
540-ish.
So what's going to happen with guesstimated 460 else? You don't see 285 of those going to Cam?
No.
Out of 460? And
you like to do that math, right? But it never plays out. Yeah, you like to do that, but it never plays out like that.
That's a pretty good average. About 1,000 plays.
Maybe I don't even know if that is the case, but like the fact that only like 3 players hit the carries you're talking, and nobody.
Again, though, you're not looking at it as a per game basis. That's not fair.
I don't care about the per game basis. He has to hit those numbers. You didn't quote it to me as a per game basis. You quoted it to me as a bulk number.
But let's talk about it
like in your rankings.
Yeah, I get that. But we're ranking them. Everybody that I have ranked is for the season. And I know that I have Barkley for more touches than him. I know I have Chubb probably for more touches, maybe.
Because he can't catch.
But like,
because he's not a good football player. You're not making a good case here.
You're using the thing of, okay, only 5 guys have ever passed the line of 285 per season on average. Not only on average, only 5 guys pass that threshold. But yes, there's injuries that happen all the time. How many people are passing 16.75 a game is my question.
I have no idea.
That's what I would like to know. Because I think it's more
Akers,
than you're giving.
You act like Cam Akers has never been hurt.
If it's 15,
all of a sudden,
if it's okay. If he gets hurt, then I'm wrong no matter what. So it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, but now you're making the case of like, yeah, but everybody else is going to get hurt and Cam Akers is going to get there. That's a soft ass argument.
That's not the case I'm making at all, Cody. The case I'm making is you're saying we're talking about a threshold here. So I'm putting these projections out there to rank everybody as a certain way. But when we're looking at the stats at the end of the year, yes, there's only 5 guys that get to that amount, those total carries, but most of these guys have probably seen injuries. But we're trying to rank guys out for 17 games. How am I supposed to rank? I do that with all of the players. But you're looking at that 285 threshold of like, okay, only these amount of guys got here, but you're looking at the stats from last year. But we're not supposed to rank with projections or injuries.
Not supposed to, well, no, but I still, it doesn't, I don't know that the per game or anything matters. I mean, even let's look at it this way. You think he's going to get some receiving work. So even at that 16 point whatever carries and whatever receiving work, like you've got him for 20 plus touches a game. I don't think Cam Akers is getting 20 plus touches a game. If you want to do the per game thing, I don't think it's happening.
Do I have him for 4 targets a game? I thought it was like 46
I don't
total targets.
Okay, so 46 divided by 17 is what?
45 targets.
So you got 2.7 and 16 point what?
Yeah, it's less than 20. 16.75.
16 points, so you're 19 and a half, whatever. Sorry, I was off by half a.
Last year he had games where he touched the ball 23, 25 times at the end of the season.
Like 2
out of 5. 8.
So I'm getting you. I'm kind of slow at it. Keep talking a bit. So they ran 411 last year. 411 times they ran last year.
You can't see him getting 285 of those.
And that was without their quarterback.
Try the year before. I'm curious about the year before.
That's what I'm doing. That's actually what I'm working on here. But somehow I managed to get it by player and not by team, and I'm messing us up bad. Messing us up real bad.
God bless it.
Messing us up. So
this would be, you know what we need to add now as you do this. This is not to BS here, but it would be nice if we had just like a goofy like clip where it's like, dude, please stand by, dude, and it plays like elevator music.
At this point, I don't even know if I'm gonna get it.
Are you kidding me?
Well, it's not doing what I want it to do.
I guess we'll just mark this one up as Cam Akers top 12. I did tell you pre-show.
Even last year. So I don't think 2021 is going to look more favorable because like last year they were missing their quarterback at the end of the year. That's what we've talked about at nauseum is they turned to him when they had absolutely nobody else healthy on the team. That's when it happened.
I don't think it's going to be less than 411 though, because they just ultimately are going to run more plays with a good offense.
Gosh. The little bit of running the quarterback's going to do. Yeah.
Did you hear me?
No.
You got some storms going on? A little stormy. So
yep, I do have some storms. So even at the real quick, let me finish that up, if you don't mind.
No. I was grabbing my phone to try to get this up for you.
So 411 carries between what the quarterback gets and 4 other running backs and the receivers are going to get carries. Yes, 285 of 411 carries is a very big percentage. Very big percentage.
60%?
Say it again.
Is it 60%? Oh,
at least. It's 70%. That's a massive number. He's not getting 70% of the carries, including wide receivers and quarterback. That's not.
I would be willing.
Running back. That's 70%
I would be willing,
of the team carries. You're projecting north of 80% of the running back carries.
How?
It's 70%, including quarterback and wide receiver carries.
Yeah, that's don't jump. That's not 10% of their carries. Is it 40? 40 carries is what you're saying the wide receivers and running backs
between wide receivers and quarterback?
Matthew Stafford?
Probably.
Matthew Stafford?
You're talking 3 a game between quarterback. 3 carries a game is nothing. Like that's like I'm trying to get out of the pocket carries.
Their running backs had 208 here. 208, 149, 30. That's Matthew Stafford. 350.
How many for Stafford?
32. 30.
Yeah, so easily it's over 40. Yeah, you've got an 80% of the running back.
No way around. There's more this year, though.
80% of the running back carries. It's just not happening.
357 plus 14. 371. 371 in the year that you wanted to talk about with RB carries.
Oh God. I don't even know if there's 285 running back carries. Period.
No, I was ready to drop this down by 5%. What did I just say? 381?
You said 35%?
No.
I don't even know that there's 285.
I have him at 75. 75%. I'd be willing to come down to 65%.
75% of team carries. Now, if you back out
running back, that's running back carries. The 381 is running back carries. I just did the math in my head. I did not count Matthew Stafford's. I did not count Matthew Stafford's 32.
Did you take out the receiver stuff too?
I didn't even look at the team total. I just added the.
So it's going to be 80%. I'm still sticking to the number I said. I don't think I'm wrong on that.
No,
number.
I just showed you it. I did.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't take out the receivers.
No, this is 21. I added Sony Michel's, Darrell Henderson's, Cam Akers, who only had
2021. I thought we were talking last year. I'm sorry. Because last year, for example, with that 460, like Brandon Powell had 17 carries. Cooper Kupp had 9. Tutu Atwell had 9. Like there's another there's 40 to the quarterback, another 40 to the receivers. Like it's 80+%. Last year, I mean.
Okay, so in 21, I would be closer to 75%. Not that at this
That's
point
it really. Number.
I would like to be at 65. I would like to be at 65 of the running back carries.
Let me see what that is. 381 times 65. 247. I still don't love it, but I can live with it. I think I'm like 230.
It's gonna make me so sad to do this, but I'll do it.
We just spent way too much time on Cam Akers. I said we weren't going to talk Cam Akers that long.
It was at least a little bit of a different one, but I don't think anybody would really find it valuable other than us two.
Just a bet.
All right, one more piece of conversation here. We got Big Tuna Tua.
What's a tuna swim like? Is it a?
I would think so. I mean, those babies are big. You ever watch Office? Do you know where that's from? Big Tuna. Your background, because of how lit you are, your background looks fake. That's a compliment.
Yeah. The wood? Oh, yeah. I did it myself. Don't look close.
When you get a second, rewatch this video and you doing that action, it looks like a Microsoft Teams background.
Like it's kind of almost glitchy.
Like it's like really nice.
Oh,
but also how you look is very in front of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. New GIF alert. Big Tuna, Cody. All right. So Big Tuna was QB 10 in points per game, and that's including the game he left before half. Obvious, notorious game at this point. He has 2 of the best weapons in the NFL. They have one of the most creative head coaches in the NFL. What is there not to love about this guy that you have him? And I get it. We're not far off here. I'm at 11, which I'm even lower, according to where you're at 16. So you have him out of the top 12. Why?
Yeah, and I'll say this up front. I don't necessarily feel great about 16. I think that sounds too low. So I definitely acknowledge kind of where that's coming from. One thing here is there's a group of quarterbacks there, and you and I've talked this a little bit, and I call it
tough, dude.
Like 10 to 16.
It's so tough.
Throw me any of them. I don't. I'm not
like
saying
8 from 16.
Yeah,
it's almost 8 from 16.
I'm not saying throw me any because I dislike them. I'm saying they're just all about the same to me. Like there's things I like about them. There's things I worry a little bit, but my separation in points for them is extremely minimal. So like if my QB 16 gets 2 more touchdowns than I thought, he could easily be in the top 12, maybe even the top 10. I mean, it's that tight. And so 16 sounds worse than I feel about Tua, if that makes any sense. I think when we start talking the guys after him, Russell Wilson, Stafford, Carr, that's a big drop off for me. Like I'd much rather have Tua than those guys. That being said, regardless, I have him at 16. So I gotta own it if I'm gonna rank him there. A couple things I see. He is a big re-injury risk, and I know we're not supposed to project on injury. I know we talked about this, but when I'm looking at that group of guys, that's part of the reason I slide him to the bottom is because, okay, if I feel the same about these 8 guys, give me the ones that are going to potentially cause me the least problems. Not even trying to project an injury, just who's going to give me headaches. And I think Tua could give me some headaches in that way, if that makes sense. The other thing that I think is kind of important in part of this, he did have that massive 500-yard or whatever it was, 41-point fantasy week. And so that props up his performance to some degree, or his season-long performance.
Can I time you on there?
Sure.
Those games are going to happen if it's a good quarterback.
They're going to happen. But here's where, and they'll win you a week. So it's not a knock, because I want those games to happen. That game's
he's going to have a 35-point game this year.
It's not so much like I want those good weeks. The question is, what did he do the other weeks then? And the answer is he went over 20 in only 4 of 13 games. So the number of games that he went out and won you is like that one. And the number of times you were kind of, if my QB gets under 20, I'm disappointed. I'm not saying it's a bad week, but I'm disappointed. He disappointed me in 75% of his games.
So
if I'm a fantasy owner. And so that's, I don't want to say that floor, because they're not bad weeks, but I just don't love that.
I think what you're saying there is a fair assessment, but 20 is a large number that you're not accounting for. Like when we're talking about 8 through 16, I bet you any number that would be close to the top between those 8 through 16.
Only
over
4 games on the season?
Because none of them are rushing quarterbacks. And he played 3 games less. It's 4 of 13. So if we would have to make this a percentage base and kind of double check this.
Then probably.
I wish I did this prior to our episode, but like I would have to think that there's not, like, if you looked at Kirk, I bet you it's twice. I mean, Kirk would be a prime example of somebody that I would want to pull up and check it.
But maybe I'm off.
20 is large. I mean, not many quarterbacks average over 20. About 5.
Kirk is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kirk was 6.
So 6 out of 17, 4 out of 13.
Kirk averaged 18. So he's averaging almost that 20 mark.
Well, so did Tua.
Honestly.
Tua's was 30%. Kirk's was 43.
What did Tua average? I mean,
18.
Again, to some degree. Again, I'm not saying the 41-point week is bad, but it props up that average. Like, and I know it happened, but here's the thing. I don't think Tua's throwing for 500 yards in a game this
year. You talk about it here, propping up the average.
500 yards.
You're freezing real quick.
Kirk's we're all in the 20s, I think. So
you talk about
not really propping up his average.
And this isn't, I think this is as fair as your comment about it propping up his average. He also had a game that he played 40% of the snaps and had only 3 points at that time.
And can you say that again? It cut out.
He had a game where he played 40% of the snaps, where he got hurt, and he only had 3 points at that time. So the same argument can be said that he had a game that brought down that average as well.
I suppose, and maybe I'm expecting too much of these quarterbacks. I don't want 4 games of 20 points. I don't know. Maybe I'm expecting too much. You could be right.
I think you need to. Maybe we messed up in our draft by taking Joe Burrow, because I think you want a running quarterback. I think you want a rushing QB.
Well, like Goff had 6. Like Gino had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 for Gino. So I mean, guys had a couple more. Yeah, I know it's not as big a difference as I expected. I'll acknowledge that, but
and I'm also curious as because again, you're thinking this average is super carried by the 41 points, but like I bet you Tua is in the 17 to 20 range quite a bit to at least be in this conversation. He had to be.
Well, I mean, let me read you through,
because we're going off the average.
So like the end of the year, and I don't like cherry picking small, but like after the bye, he ended the year 16, 15.8, 12.6, 18.1, 13.4. That was after the bye when he was healthy.
After it's not concussions.
Good. Yeah, that's part of the problem in general, though. I mean, I know it's been a while now, but like that's still a worry in the back of my mind. That's not really a positive I can take away.
Norton says here, you do want a rushing QB. You definitely do. Luckily, I know a guy. He's pretty athletic and young, can run like the wind. Who is it? All right, we'll move on.
Again, I don't dislike Tua. I feel like I keep knocking him. I'm not trying to knock Tua, because I think he is in that range of quarterbacks I'm okay with owning. I just think the up and down, I don't have to deal with that quite as much with some of those other guys in the same range.
I think part of that up and down came from those injuries, but I mean, we'll find out.
Right.
The last player that we wanted to talk about, and this isn't an argument against each other. It's more like you wanted
the world.
Call
out the world.
But we're lower on the world, higher in our group. Right?
We're higher than our group?
Oh, we have to be.
You and I are?
It has to. It have to be. His name rhymes with Schmitcherton. Norton is bringing the heat tonight, dude. Yeah, we're higher than our group, I think.
I didn't know that.
I would guess it. I'm surprised
that's
not
crazy.
I didn't read your notes, so I didn't notice. I thought that's why we were calling this out. Let me double check. I think we're probably the highest.
No, that wasn't the reason.
I think
you are the highest.
That makes you close to the second highest then.
Yeah, I'm 24, Norton's 25. It's Calvin Ridley. And I get it. Calvin Ridley is a super talented guy who's got it done in the NFL before. Acknowledge all of that. He has looked great in camp, and he looks fast. I also acknowledge that. But the current, even the ECR at wide receiver 18, I'm like, okay, I get it. You're excited for Calvin Ridley. The flipping ADP is wide receiver 14.
Oh,
wide receiver 14, crazy. Almost a wide receiver 1 for a guy that hasn't touched a real football field in I don't even know how long, but too long. Like way too long. I think time off from football hurts a lot. Do I think Calvin Ridley can come back and be do I think Calvin Ridley can come back and be a good player? Yes, I do. Do I think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 this year? No, but everybody else does.
Yeah, and this is like we're going to take a hard stance here where this is going to be one of those takes that if people see and he comes out weeks 1 through 5 and he's wide receiver 7, we're just going to be taking shots left and right.
I'll own it. And I'll own it. I'm a big boy.
No, we could just fall back to like we were high in our group.
There's just no reason for it. There's no reason for it.
It's tough because like I also don't see it. There's a lot of weapons on this team, and everybody kind of thinks that Calvin Ridley as much, and it's getting higher because preseason's been all Calvin Ridley, all anti-Christian Kirk. And I think what happens here, Cody, and I know this isn't a part of the episode, but we're going to take a different turn here. I think this means buy Christian Kirk.
Totally agree. He's wide receiver 28 right now. And I don't know if all you out there forgot, but he won a lot of people fantasy leagues last year.
Wide receiver 10 on the year, I think.
I believe it was, and drafted no in that vicinity. And so, the wide receiver, I think a wide receiver 1, let's just say that. He's being drafted as wide receiver 28, all because a guy who hasn't played football in 2 years showed up. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Let's take that further, shall we? Let's go a little further with that. Everyone's like, okay, not everyone. There's a huge sector of this world that's like Trevor Lawrence going to take the step forward. He's going to be the prospect that was promised.
Robbie.
Yeah. Well, Robbie is low on Calvin. I wonder if he's high. But like, if Trevor's going to take this step forward, he could support 2 wide receivers. This is a great point to like have in general, Cody. Yep. Even if we're wrong about Calvin Ridley, that means other people could be wrong about Christian Kirk as well. There could be 2 sustainable wide receivers and a tight end. We see it with Philly.
Yep.
We see it with
Miami, bunch of places.
Bengals,
Cincy,
Miami.
Yep.
There's a possibility Christian Kirk is one of the biggest buy pieces that we haven't talked about much this offseason.
I agree. You look at what he did last year, and I'm not going to say his metrics are perfect, but his catch rate and efficiency numbers were fine enough to say this guy's getting 120 targets again. If you're telling me I can get 120 plus targets at wide receiver 28, I'll take it all day long. Give me Christian Kirk as my flex on every team I can get him on.
Do we go trade for him right now? Do we just go get him right now?
I mean, you're not going to get him in Dynasty because I think I own him. I went and traded for him for this reason.
I'm talking about our shared team. Do we go get him right now? How cheap would he be?
I'm down. I mean, don't go getting cute. Like I think relatively cheap. Like you don't need to trade a Terry McLaurin, for example. Like it's less than that.
What is it then? What's that figure?
Are you looking for a player? A player in redraft?
Redraft.
Let me think at the running back position. It's AJ Dillon.
You think AJ Dillon could buy him?
I think that's in the ballpark.
our that sucks for us because our RB depth doesn't allow for that.
It's not good. I know.
Yeah.
But I think that's in the vicinity. Maybe I'm crazy. But if he's going off the board at wide receiver 28 in ADP, I mean, goodness gracious.
It makes me curious as to, and I don't think I'm going to find this quick enough, but what he went at in our draft for.
I actually think it might have been slightly more than what wide receiver 28 would justify. If that
really?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Well, wide receiver 28 probably goes in top 6 rounds this year, top 5 maybe. So how's that make you feel?
Listen, I could butcher this, but for some reason, like 13 or 14 bucks is sticking in my head.
13. I think that's about right. Yeah,
I'm gonna go play the lottery.
And it's Paulie, so we're never gonna get him. So $13 for Christian Kirk, who could end up with 120 plus targets.
Well, let's go back to this. A wide receiver 1 from last year, and you can buy him for $13. And that was in a league with keepers, which runs the price up. You can, in a lot of leagues, probably buy Christian Kirk for $8 or $10.
I think that's cheap for a wide receiver 28 this season.
Mm-hmm.
Because, because that's probably a top 6. I mean, he's got to go in the first 6 rounds if he's going that cheap.
Yeah, but it doesn't play out
28
at an auction.
I know. I'm just trying to think this through. I guess the first person that does come to mind is like
Snake. I guess is what you would say.
AJ Dillon is the person that comes to mind, and I think we got him for the exact same price.
That probably sounds right. Maybe 10 or 12.
$12.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. Go buy Christian Kirk. Buy some Christian Kirk. If you take nothing else from this episode, buy Christian Kirk.
And not Calvin Ridley hate, but let's watch the guy play football before we make him a wide receiver 1. Careful, folks.
Can we get some Christian Kirk shirts made? Like just buy Christian Kirk?
What's the tagline? Kirk cronies.
That's terrible again, dude.
Kirk.
Are you in on Kirk Cousins too?
I like all the Kirks. Give me all the Kirks.
Then we just Kirk square.
Is there any more of them?
No, that's bad. I don't think so.
Darn it! I need more Kirks in my life.
I did see a good I'll send it to you afterwards. I don't even want to bring it up. Okay. But tomorrow night we have one of our divisional episodes being posted 8 p.m. 8 p.m. we're dropping it, and then I think
Robbie's doing great work on those. By the way, I want to shout him out again. He's putting in the man hours, and it's showing. They're great pieces. Everybody should take a look at them.
Yes, they are. It's been amazing getting to meet a ton of and reconnect with a ton of the people that we've got to spend time with. Right before this episode, we got to speak to the godfather of the FF Expo himself, Bob Lung. He'll be making a special appearance on, I think, the tomorrow night one, but maybe it's the Saturday night one. But then I think that's wrapped up. I think that would be
we're almost there.
Maybe that's one more. I can't remember now. I just remember seeing episode 6, but I don't know if he was saying episode 6 coming soon or episode 6 is now out. I can't remember. But there will be total 8. So we're close, and we're close to the season, everyone.
We are.
2 weeks away, starting tomorrow. 2 weeks away.
Final countdown.
For myself, for Mudcat Cody, we love you guys. Peace.
See ya.
Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so